Well, I think the big thing with Philadelphia is can Bradford stay healthy, and until he does, you don't know. So that, to me, is the biggest thing. I think Dallas is just a more established team, having won the division last year and taken that step, has the same quarterback back, as you said, the same offensive line back. Feels like they've improved themselves on defense, where Philadelphia had a whole bunch of changes in the offseason. And I think DeMarco Murray will be very, very good for them. There's no question about that. I think he's going to have a big year. But can Bradford stay healthy? And that, to me, is the biggest thing with Philadelphia. And Dallas doesn't really have that question at this point. They're established at quarterback, have the best quarterback in the division. I always go with the best quarterback. And I did base my playoff teams on that. If you don't have a quarterback, you're probably not going to the playoffs, more than likely, unless your defense is just really, really special. And so that's kind of what I base it on, and I think the Cowboys have the best quarterback in the division.
Yeah, and I lean that way too. In the preseason, where we are standing right now, I say I'll go Romo over Bradford. But in the end, if Bradford stays healthy, I wouldn't be shocked if those two guys were comparable. That being said, Murray, 1,800 yards, led the league. So many people say, well, he's very good, which he is, obviously. The offensive line gets a lot of credit there. I have a hard time thinking they're going to recoup 1,800 yards. And even if they get 12 to 1,300 yards, that's a lot of yards that are still out there. Will they feel the effects of losing Murray?
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that. Absolutely. And I think you saw some of that with them picking up Christian Michael in a trade this week. I think there is some concern on their part that maybe you just can't throw any running back behind that great offensive line and get 1,800 yards. And if they don't have that 50-50 balance they had last year, they ran it 508 times and threw it 506 times, then I think they're in trouble. And I think they're in big trouble. I think they have to be able to run it effectively with a running back by committee instead of DeMarco Murray, yes, but you still have to account for those yards and produce those yards. And we'll see if they can do it, but I just don't see one back being able to do that. They're going to split up those carries. None of those backs are going to end up with 392 carries this year like DeMarco did in the regular season last year, but they better be able to produce the yards as a group.
Charean Williams with us here, taking a look at the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC East. She's at NFL Charean and the Fort Worth Star-Telegram for more. I know we have some Dallas fans out there, including some in our own building. We go back and forth on this a lot. And obviously, I want to get your opinion on Hardy. He's going to miss 4 games. He'll play that 5th game. I ask this question a lot when talking about teams. Do you have a player on defense that the other team has to game plan for? And I don't think Philadelphia has that player on their defense. Maybe Fletcher Cox turns into that guy this year. Does Dallas have that guy, or is Hardy going to be that guy?
I think that's the unknown. They don't have that guy right now. Their best defensive player last year was Orlando Skandrick, and he's out for this season with torn knee ligaments. So that leaves you with, okay, who is their best player? Now, I think Sean Lee coming back is a big help for this defense. He's such a leader on that defense. He's going to be in on every tackle and has moved the weak side, which in this defense should be your leading tackler. They're trying to give Tyrone Crawford a big contract extension. He's not Warren Sapp. I was in Tampa when Warren Sapp was there, and all those Hall of Fame players were there. He's not Warren Sapp, but he's a pretty good 3 technique for them. Do you have the game plan for him? I don't know about that. Greg Hardy could be that guy, but we're talking about a guy who hasn't played football more than a year. Is he going to be that guy again? I don't know. He didn't show it in training camp, didn't show it in preseason games. Now, they said he was working on a lot of different things, and they feel good about him, but until you get out there and do it, you don't really know what you have. Randy Gregory, the rookie, the second-round pick, was very, very good as a pass rusher, 4 sacks in the preseason, got after the quarterback really, really good. Maybe he ends up being the guy, but, again, he's a rookie. Rookies don't have those huge sack numbers. Even DeMarcus Ware didn't have that when he came in here. So, right now I'd say they don't have one that you really got to go game plan against. And you go back to the running game. That's why the running game for the Cowboys is so important, because you got to keep that defense off the field. You got to keep them fresh. They were still 19th in total yards last season, but they were not on the field that much. They produced 31 takeaways, which was second in the NFL. If they can do that again, then they'll be pretty good, and they'll probably win this division. But, yeah, you've brought up a lot of questions, a lot of good questions. It's the same questions they're asking themselves right now. They don't know.
Yeah, the Hardy thing's interesting to me. I said before, look, he had 11 sacks, 3 years ago, 15 got him the big money. Vinny Curry had 9 sacks last year. I don't think anybody would put Vinny Curry and Hardy in the same sentence. So I'm with you. I'm trying to figure out who he is, and I'm very interested. How about, obviously losing Skandrick? Will that ultimately be possibly the difference between Philadelphia and Dallas? Could that injury flip the script for these two teams?
I will say Dallas was very fortuitous that they had drafted Byron Jones at the first round this year and got another cornerback in here. I think they're loaded at cornerback. If they were going to lose a player, that was probably the position to lose it. They have Morris Claiborne coming back from injury, former first-round pick, number 6 overall. I know he hasn't lived up to those expectations, but they expect him to play and play pretty well this season at right corner. And then Tyler Patman, who played as an undrafted rookie free agent last year, had an interception return for a touchdown against Arizona last year. He's going to play in the slot. They feel really good about him. And then you have Byron Jones, of course, is one of your backups sitting there and play safety or corner. So if it was going to happen, that was a good position for it to happen at. But, again, he was their best corner. There's no question about that. He was their best corner and their best defensive player last year. They will miss him. They will feel those effects. He was so good in the nickel, maybe arguably the best slot corner in the NFL. They are going to feel that a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be the difference between them winning the division or not winning the division. I still think it's going to go back to how well they run the ball, whether they win this division or not.
All right, Charean Williams, I'll ask you a couple quickies real fast. Best running back on the Dallas roster will be who?
If Darren McFadden could stay healthy, I think it's him. If not, I think it's Joseph Randall. But, again, we go back to if. He hasn't done it. He played all 16 games last season and wasn't very effective. So he's definitely their most talented running back, but he just hasn't stayed healthy.
Okay, is it the offensive line or was it Murray?
That's a question we keep asking 100 times. Murray was awfully good last year. I'm a huge DeMarco Murray fan, as he knows, and huge fan, and I think he's a really good running back, and I think Philadelphia Eagles fans are going to fall in love with the guy. I think he's going to be very good for them. I think it was 50-50. I think that line was awfully good. You can't discount how good they were because they were very good. But I'm not sure if DeMarco Murray wasn't in there that they would have been as effective as what they were last season. Let me just say this. One thing Murray does really, really well, Joseph Randall brought up leaving meat on the bone. That's fine. He probably did leave some out there. That's what the coaches will tell you. They'll also tell you they watched every single one of his runs last season. He didn't have a lot of negative runs. He was always gaining positive yards. So he might just gain 2 yards on first down. Then it was 4 or 5, 6 yards on second down. Suddenly you got a third and short that's very convertible. That's what he did really well. He didn't lose yards. Always positive yards. Eagles fans are going to love this guy.
We'll see him next week. The Eagles and the Cowboys, of course, week number 2. Very early for that NFC East matchup. I don't know. Could be an interesting one with Hardy out in that game and McClain as well. So could be advantage Eagles in Philly week 2. We'll get to that one next week. And, of course, the Cowboys have the Giants on Sunday night. Charean Williams, everybody, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.